All right, today we want to try to be a help to you. We want to talk about when you're going through the storms of life.
The reason why that we came up with this topic, because right now there is a whole lot of people that we know that are going through some really rough storm. You're talking about earth shaking to them, and really currently we are too. And so we're going to be transparent as best as possible, but things that we have learned through the years and even through this storm that hopefully you will learn. It'll be a blessing to you, but maybe that you can help somebody else through this process.
Everybody's going through a storm, or you're getting ready to go through a storm, or you just got out of a storm.
First thing we need to understand is that we need to share our storm with other people. And during the whole process, when we share our storm and being able to talk to somebody, it helps us through the trial that we may be going through.
Right, when you're going through the storm, it's the time when you least want to talk about it usually, because it may be some struggle personally that you're having, or someone that you love is going through something and you want to protect their reputation, their honor, so you feel like it's something that you can't share. But the whole point of sharing your storm is to help get you out of that storm. You need to let others know about it. There's someone that you trust that you can talk to. For instance, as far as spouses go, when you're going through a storm, you should be able to share your storm with your spouse, especially women. I'm not being sexist here, but there are differences between the way the man brain is and the woman brain. And men, we like to go to our nothing box. We like to try not to think about the situation at hand, maybe think about something else. But understand that sometimes you need to talk.
Yeah, and women, that's all we can think about. See, we can be doing the dishes, we can be taking care of the child, but in the back of our mind, this storm is still going. We could still be thinking about it, and it's constantly on our mind, and it can completely annoy the husband. So we need to be aware of that. But the husband, please understand that got to be able to talk.
Right.
Got to be able to communicate.
So during your storm, talk to your spouse, talk to a pastor, talk to a trusted friend or a parent or a teacher, but someone that you can talk to during your storm.
Yeah, and be very careful too. The person that you talk to, try not to say, "Can you keep a secret?" Because honestly, and hopefully, it's they can in a lot of ways. But if there's some legal issues, and this is probably the only disclaimer we'll put in this whole film here, is that if there is something going on that needs to be reported to authorities, it is that person's obligation to report it. So don't ask, "Can you keep a secret?" Because if they say yes and they report it, then they're in trouble for breaking confidentiality, but they'll be in trouble also if they don't report it. So first of all, you want to share your storm. You want to share your storm during the storm for the benefit of yourself, to help yourself through it. But also, you want to share your storm after it all happens for the benefit of other people.
Right, after you get through a storm, after you've seen some victory on the other side of the storm, it's also a good time to share your storm, to relate the experiences that you had to help other people who are going through the same experiences. A lot of times that's the reason why the Lord allows us to go through the storm.
Yeah, be transparent. It's hard, but you need to be. You need to be that person that can be a blessing to another person. You never know what someone is going through, and just to be that transparent person to go through. But it could be even, whether it be a death of a relative, or whether it be a sin issue in our own lives that is brought upon ourselves. And that's a big thing too. Sometimes the storms in our lives are brought by ourselves, and we need to be able to get through it. We made a mistake. We ask the Lord for forgiveness, and then we have to deal with consequences, but get through it, and to be able to tell somebody else, "Hey, I made a mistake. This is what happened, and this is how I needed to correct it." And a lot of people need to hear that.
And it helps you when you're going through the storm to be thinking about, well, what am I being taught as I'm going through this storm that I could use to help other people get through this storm? Secondly, besides sharing our storm, during the storm and after the storm, we need to be seeing our strength. When you're going through a storm, it's difficult to see your way out of it. That's the thing about a storm. It's all around you. That's all you see at the time. And if you focus on the problem, there's going to be a struggle.
Yeah, I tell you, there's been storms in our life where, and I'm going to say this because a lot of times you might be thinking, that's me right now, where you can't sleep, you hardly can eat. If you do eat, you're lucky if you don't lose it. You're weak. You feel like you're going to collapse. Your whole shoulders, everything is so, I say, in pain, just aches, and your whole body just aches.
You're carrying a burden in the storm.
Yeah, and you think, what strength do I have? It's like, your whole life is consumed right now. You feel like you're in prison probably, and you just can't get over this storm. And I will say this, there has been, I can see how people, when they go through a storm, they want to end it. I'm not saying that I ever wanted to end my life, but I can see they want the storm to stop. They want everything just to end, whatever it takes to end it. And that's why it's so important for you to seek help and to talk about it and to share it. And that's why I'm sharing that with you, because it is so easy to want things just to end.
So when we say seek your strength, we're not talking about strength in yourself. There's a strength that's higher than any strength that we could ever muster up within our own willpower. And there's a strength that comes from God. That's another, I guess, not a disclaimer, but something that we should give in full revelation, is that we're trusting in the Lord. We're Christians. We follow Jesus Christ, and we seek His strength. And if we're going through a storm, the last thing we want to try to do is get through it on our own. Don't look at the problem, but look to the Lord. I guess it was David who said, "Lead me to the rock that is higher than I when my heart is overwhelmed." He cried to the Lord.
Yeah, and that's what we need to do. And there's so many times that we want to control it. We want the whole problem to be fixed. And I'm a kind of person that just wants to fix things for everybody. So I want to fix this problem. And if it's a situation that, let's say if it's your child, there's a part of, the control of being able to say, Lord, this is my child. Also, this is your child that you gave for me to raise. And I'm supposed to raise this child a certain way or help this child. But it comes to the point where there's a balancing act of saying, Lord, your will has to be done. I'm trusting, this child in your hands for you to do a work in their heart. And trying to catch that balancing act and to finally just to say, Lord, thy will be done. Let you take care of it.
It's a difficult thing, but pray. Give it over to the Lord. And also, focus on others.
Yes, focus on other people. I tell you, there's a lot of people, like I said, we're making this videos because I know so many people that are going through these storms themselves. There's a lot of fear, there's a lot of anguish, a lot of sleepless nights, and to be able to help others, to be a blessing to others. And there's some things that we can do to be a blessing to other folks.
How can you encourage someone who's going through a storm? Number one, you can realize that there's been a time where you've gone through the same thing or something similar to that, and you can convey that, empathize with them.
I think a big thing too is just to realize you're on the same team. You're not, if there's a problem going on, it's not like, oh, that person is doing that. Oh, horrible. No, it's like, boy, we're on the same team and we're fighting the same enemy. And I am just one step away from falling, or, by the grace of God, I've got to be so careful that Satan doesn't try to bring us down. And he is. And the first time you think he's not, you better be careful, because the enemy does not give up.
Yeah. What's another thing? Be willing to help, but don't try to fix it unless they want the help.
Yes. And sometimes people just need to get it off their chest, vent, and and get people help. If it's our church has a grief share program. If it's a death of a relative that or a death that really shook them up, get them some help. There's
addictions ministries.
Addictions ministries. So and point them to someone that is able to help them. But another thing would be to you can send text messages
Or a thinking of you gift.
Yes, take them out to eat just to get their mind away from them. And that's another thing too, just get out of the house. Yeah. And we're doing this video outside because I personally I could not handle being inside any longer. So
well, a lot of times here's what we say. We say, if there's anything that I can do to help, let me know. But most of the time when someone's going through a storm, they will not let you know. So find something that you can do to be a blessing to them. And then lastly, check in on them regularly. A lot of times if you're not going through the storm and someone else is, you tend to forget about the storm that they're going through, and it's on your heart and mind maybe for a day or two, but then you go on with life. And so just remember to check in with them if someone's going through a storm.
Yeah, or maybe that they're over it. You just assume that. But just to throw them a quick text or, again, take them out for coffee.
So these are just a few things that you can do. Perhaps there's many more. Maybe comment down below if you can add to this conversation on some things that you've done before to help someone through a storm, or things that have been a blessing to you when you've gone through a storm. We appreciate you watching the video and ask that you would like it if it's been a blessing to you. Share it if you know someone this could be a help to, and we'll see you in the next video.